In this lesson, we're going to review CKEditor, which is the default visual editor available on text formats in Drupal 8. We're also going to take a look at how you can customize CKEditor to be a little bit more appropriate for your specific site. First, let's look at basic content entry and see why a visual editor of some sort is important. So this is the node form for the article content type, and the body field has some basic formatting options available. I'm going to throw some dummy text in here. And we can see that it's very easy for me to quickly add some formatting. So I'm going to do so right now. Perhaps I want to start with a list, and then perhaps I want this to be bold. And if I want to link this to something else, I can do so right here. So this makes it very easy for me to format my content using buttons that are at the top of this text editor. While you may be very comfortable with HTML, chances are very strong that you will have content contributors who are not. And even if you are comfortable with HTML, this just makes it nicer for you to work with your content when you start getting into complex formatting. The buttons that are available in your visual editor should correspond directly to the markup that will be allowed by the text format that's being used. The visual editor can be customized for each specific text format. So right now we're using the basic HTML text format. But if I switch that to full HTML, you'll see that I have a lot more options available in the list of buttons at the top. Let's go back to our text formats and take a look at how we can actually format the visual editor to match the markup that's allowed by the specific text format. First, you'll see that different text formats have different text editors applied to them. Or more specifically, basic HTML and full HTML both have access to the CKEditor text editor, but restricted HTML and plain text do not. If you add other libraries to your site, then those libraries would be available to add as the default text editor for your specific text format. We're going to go ahead and configure the basic HTML text format. And we'll look here again where it says text editor. We can choose which text editor is being used. Below that, we have the toolbar configuration. This allows us to determine which buttons are going to show and what order they'll display in our active toolbar. I mentioned earlier that it's really important that the buttons that are available match the tags that you're allowing through your filter. So let's scroll down here and take a look at the bottom. We're limiting allowed HTML tags, and we want to just review the ones that we're allowing so that we can make sure that the buttons that we offer match the ones that we're allowing in here. We'll see that the block formats of header level 4, 5, and 6 are available as HTML that will be allowed through in the format of the specific page. If I go back up to the editor controls here, we'll see that in the active toolbar, there's nothing that makes it easy for us to apply those header levels to our content. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the format button right here, which I know that I want. And if I click on it and drag it, you'll see how the active toolbar changes, and I can go ahead and drop this particular button somewhere in here that makes sense. I'm going to drop it in the formatting group. The other thing that I want to control here in the CKEditor settings is this plugin settings category here, which currently only has image. If you add other modules, you might have more options available here. The first thing that you'll specify here is whether or not images can be uploaded through your visual editor. And in this case, we want to allow that because our users might want to put images inline in the body of the text. We can specify a directory that images go into, which is nice because that helps us keep our file directory nice and clean. We can also control maximum dimensions, and we can limit the file size that's allowed. Once we've made all of these changes, we can go ahead and save it. And then let's reload this node form here. And you'll see that format is now one of the buttons available. And in there, I have the formats that match the formats that will actually be allowed through once this particular text field renders on the page. In this lesson, we looked at the text editor and how you can tune the interface for specific text formats. This alone is one of the most helpful tools for making your site easy for your content contributors. Taking the time to make sure that your text editor is nicely structured is a very worthwhile part of site building.